In this video I'm going to show you the full walkthrough of my pattern collar Issoire. It's a Victorian style collar. I'm putting up this pattern for free so you can try my style of making patterns, tutorials and instructions. You can follow the link in the description and then you can download the pattern. In any case, with or without the pattern, I think this video can give a lot of valuable information, so enjoy! I'm Marjolein Turin, designer of Somnia Romantica, and with this project, Somnia Sewing Guild, I make patterns and tutorials available for home sewing. I made a separate video with all you need to know about Somnia Romantica, Somnia Sewing Guild, the patterns and how to use them. Let's start. Tools I'm using: tailor's chalk, fabric scissor for the fabric, embroidery scissor for threads, vintage irons for holding the pattern piece down, a very thin needle for hand sewing, and of course the famous and infamous stitch ripper. For this collar I recommend a bit of a sturdy fabric, preferably a fabric with no stretch or just a little bit. And you can think of things like thick cotton, jacquard, linen, but also a non-stretchy velour or thick lace. There are of course many other options. In this case I'm using jacquard with a little bit of stretch. For the decoration you can think of lace trim, make it more toned down, or use very white and stiff lace for a very dramatic effect, more ruff-like effect. For the fastening I use eye and hooklet trim. Other options are of course things like buttons, press buttons, a zipper and so on. For the back I will also use these silver tone metal clasps, and for the front I will use filigree silver tone metal buttons. Drawing and cutting the pattern. As said, for this pattern I have 4 variations, either with a long back or a short back and with a front or a back fastening. In this video I make the piece with a long back and with a back fastening. I am laying down the pattern with the mid-front on the fold of the fabric. The good side of the fabric is turned in. I put my happy vintage iron weights on it, and then I draw with my tailor's chalk all around the pattern. After this I cut away the seam allowance, lay it down again and draw around the sewing line of the pattern. This is a test to see how this works for me. I cut out over the line of the seam allowance, and then I get my eye and hooklet fastening. I found 2 pieces long enough in my remnants box. I have remnant boxes for literally everything. I cut it off at the length that I need it, and I pick up the laces. These are lovely vintage scallop laces. This body is mirrored, and I also have a small scallop lace trim with a satin ribbon woven in it. I bought it with the satin already woven in, so that's very convenient for me. Aligned with the fastening I used this cute piece of trim that I still had in my remnants box. I pick up my happy sleeve in which I store the pattern alongside the instructions and drawings, and that I store in this organizer. A very easy way to store your patterns. Then I go to the serger machine. I know not everyone has a serger. Basically the seams you do with this machine are the zigzag or overlock stitch that you use for seams at the sewing machine. Here I'm giving a serger stitch to the mid-back fastening, because this is the first thing we are going to make. I'm removing the hooks and eyes that are going to be on the seam, because you don't want to sew over it. After this I give them a firm straight stitch over the line so that the iron hooklet fastening won't fray. I flip the seam around from the inside to the good side and give it a zigzag stitch. I do it this way because I think it looks neat to not have that seam on the inside. And on the outside it will be covered by the trims. Then I put my zigzag all the way to the side and sew on the hook trim. Of course I advise to pin this. Be very careful that the hooks keep on the right side of the sewing foot. This way you avoid sewing over the hooks, because if that happens it's just bye-bye with your needle. I sew it so that the mid of this, where the hooks are sewn in, aligns with the seam. Because we only need one modesty panel, I fold the eyes around the seam at the other side. I make sure that they are vertically aligned, very important, and then I sew it on. Here just make sure your zigzag goes a bit over the trim and a bit just next to it and avoid those eyes. Yeah, there went my lower thread, and there's the new one. Yay! Ladi. There's the cute trim. I sew it first over the line where I sew the trim on, and then I make sure that the left side is also firm. Then I match the other side. In this case the lace is a bit asymmetrical, so I'm going along with what feels good. Same thing, first over the line I already had, and then aside it for firmness and to make it stay put. I go to the serger again, and there I first sew the lower part of where the fastening is going to be. And then I sew all around the collar. Make sure that at the mid front it's symmetrical. You could also make an additional seam there. So first go to the mid and then start again for the other half. Also I'm giving the neckline a serger seam. Ta-da! Time for lace! Look how nice it is. Starting with one side, giving a bit of overlap for the hem. I start with the lace and the fabric turned up with the insides. And I will give this very dense pleats, which means that for every scallop you see I have 4 pleats. One at the widest parts, one of the smallest parts, and pleats in between. I think this gives a very nice and lush effect, especially with these little accessories that are so close to your face. I think a bit of drama won't hurt. I make the angle and sew until the mid-shoulder. There I change direction and pleat it the other way. I make it so that the pleats go down on both sides from the shoulder to the hem. In the mid front I cut it off with enough room and then get the mirrored part and put that on it and sew a straight stitch at the place where I want the mid of these pleats to be. You flap the ends to both sides, sew on the lace at the bottom with a straight stitch, so you make sure that the mid is really in the mid, and then you do that whole pleaty thing. You can also hand stitch this so you have more control over the materials. Then to get the pleats on the other side somewhat symmetrical, I lay the good sides onto each other, and everywhere where I am at the smallest part of the lace, I make a marking on the other side. So then when I'm pleating the other side, I know that that's where the smallest part needs to land. I used to do this freehand, but I think when it comes to a color that is so visible, it's good to work it out, unless you're really going for that very organic, natural look. You can also, of course, just not do this. Use a totally other material, which saves you the pain of making this symmetrical. I just wanted to show this option because it's so cute. Look how cute the mid is. At some point you get at the end, and there you make sure that they have the same amount of overlap, otherwise it will look very asymmetrical again. Then I first make a firm stitch, so I know that it ends at the right place, and then I can fill out the pleats in between. Then I turn it around, good side up, and sew the other lace on good side up. I have this cute small black vintage lace. I cut it at the smallest part, roll it together with the broader lace, first one time and then around the fabric. This way the ends of the lace are all rolled into the lace. Yeah, I put it under the machine and start sewing. This one I will give only pleats at the broadest and the smallest part, because the scallops are not very wide, so this will be a nice enough effect. First giving it a sort of horizontal pleat and then going alongside with the curves of the collar. Changing direction again at the mid shoulder and pleating all the way around. Then at the mid front I just went on here, but I should have give the mid of these 2 pleats a straight stitch vertically to make sure it lands in the mid. I had to redo this one time because I was feeling too confident. At the end I'm doing the same as the beginning. I make a roll. I also make sure that this lace is vertically oriented at the same place as the other side, and then I fill out the last pleats. Now it's time for the neckline. The neckline I start on the inside with both the inside of the fabric and the inside of the lace turned up. For the neckline again I sew it with the inside up and the lace with the inside up. And I start pleating, again the pleats on the widest and the smallest part. I make sure that there is at the mid a pleat that really falls symmetrically at the mid. Here I put my lace trim through the serger to make sure it won't fray. I measure the right length for the neckline, I mark the mid, and from there I sew it on. I sew it on one side with a zigzag, making sure that the lace will stay put. After this I start at the other side. Of course I advise to pin this. Maybe I should just make a sort of little sticker for that, so that I won't have to say it all the time. And then I stitch the lower half, again making sure on the inside that the lace will stay put. And I fold it in and fold it around the hem, just as with the bottom, and I give it a firm stitch. You see I kept a quite long piece of the trim here, that's because I do not like the thick seam of the trim to be close to the fastening. You also have to sew the clasp there and then it gets very bulky. So machine work is done, I'm going to hand sewing. I do this on my lap with the cushion, so I don't have to bend over too much. With a very fine needle, always strong thread, Gutermann I use. And I use always double thread. I mark the mid front at the neckline and at the mid bottom. And I first sew through the loop of the filigree button and make like 4 knots. And after this I use the 8 side holes, or whatever you like to call them, of the button to sew the button in the right position onto the fabric. Just checking if it's facing the right way by putting a pin at the inside on the mid seam, and yes, it's going well. Always check in between before you sew that whole thing on and then discovering that it's not working. You can save yourself a lot of sorrow by using a round button. And when I'm all the way around, I bring the threads at the back together and give it multiple knots. You can give it a pinch of fashion glue, textile glue, to make sure it doesn't unravel. After this I sew on the clasps. Most important is that you first test with the clasp closed and the eye and hooks closed, where the placement has to be. My needle broke, so it's going to the veteran drawer where I keep all of my broken needles. It's a thing. In any case, so you close all the eye and hooks, how it should be placed horizontally, and then for vertically you have to look at the distance from the eye and hooks to the clasp. But be aware that the eyes are a wee bit wider, so keep the eye and hooks fastening as a whole as a reference. Also what works is just give it a little stitch, the clasps, and first look on yourself or on a dress form how it looks. If it looks off, readjust, because it will annoy you to no end if you have done the fastening all the way and then you see that the clasps are just hanging in a funny angle. You sew on the clasps through the eyes and through the keyhole, the funny little round circle at the back. And I do it always on 2 sides to make it stay put. And then I do the knots again at the back. Double check if it's good, and it's good, yay! So this is the end result. I show it from all angles. You can see it has a nice lush effect. Yeah, you can do this in all kinds of variations. You can first try it with a super cheap fabric just to make sure that you have the right fit, and then you can vary as you like. I know it's not a very conventional piece of clothing, but that's what I think is nice about it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I wish you happy sewing, and I see you in the next one. Bye bye!